Well, now, by way of quick review, now we have taken a block that we created from create block, and we have added a React component text control in the edit function of that block, and we have then taken the attribute that is saved in that edit session and got it in it's stored, but we have switched over from using the save.js file and the save function to render the front end block, and now we're using render callback to do it dynamically. And we've displayed an attribute, but we haven't really done anything like actually all that interestingly dynamic. So let's just do the tiniest little example of that. So when I'm rendering, I'm running in just your regular server PHP context, and that means that any of those good things that I can do when I'm like writing a plugin or something. Well, I am writing a plugin. I can do here. So I can say things like user info equals wp get current user, right? And so that will just work as normal, and that'll mean that I have this object that gets returned back, user info, and that means that down below I can do things like say p the current user is, and drop into PHP and back out so I don't forget, and echo user info. I'll use this notation: user info, user login. Right. Did I leave a space there? No. Okay. Don't really understand why that's white, but let's just see if it works. So we'll reload here. And again, I'm not having to mess around with changing save.js or having to reinsert the thing. And I've obviously made some kind of mistake here where it says, because it says like user login and blah, blah, blah. So let's just take a look. Yeah, okay, so look, this trivial thing, I'm missing that. And see now, oh look, it's the right color now, so that's good. And we'll just save that and just flip over and verify, yeah, that's what's going on and it works. Current user is Robert, which is me, and I am the current user, and indeed I am the only user on this machine, so that works. So there's our first instance of actually doing something dynamic in the dynamic rendering part of this game. So that's a good place to be. From here, if we think about it, it would be nice. Actually, let's just quickly look at the source here. Anything once we're in OB start, like anything that I'm putting in that output buffer is fair game. So if you think about it, I could put a form in here with an input type equals text. I don't actually have to say type equals text, but whatever. And I could say like label equals give me info, right? And we'll close that. I don't need it to be a self-closing tag because this is not JSX. And I have no idea why that drops back like that. We're not gonna. Okay, so not that this is going to do anything, but if we look at that, we will eventually see, yeah, so it adds, and I used label, but that's not actually what you call it. But at any rate, there's an input form. And we could have the whole form there. And we can also have the form submit itself to the server. And we will talk all about that as a separate section at the end. Right now, though, we're thinking to ourselves, hey, we'd actually like to use some of those nice components, React components that WordPress makes available. And there's a couple of, what's interesting about that is that it is in real time, so as we're changing things, other fields can be re-rendered and changed. So it can be a very interactive form or application experience. So, that's kind of why we want to do it. Also, they out of the box, they look a little sharper, even though you can mess around with the appearance of either the forms or the components. But the thing about using a component here is that a component is just like seriously JavaScript stuff, right? It is JavaScript. It's an extension of JavaScript. So we're going to need to be running JavaScript. And then when we use those components, we're going to need to import whatever it is we need to get React and those components running on the front end, right? They run kind of automatically on the back end, but let's look at what happens on the front end. So I'm going to take my form back out. And I think it probably makes sense to take a break here, and then we will tackle getting JavaScript running in the next segment.